Hello, and welcome to Whispers in the Dark. Today's episode is brought to you by Dark Dial Studios. This is episode 1 of The Hollow House, titled The Signal. Tonight brings a story we should not tell, but the signal won't stop, and neither will I. So put your headphones in, sit back, relax, and don't become too scared by what lies ahead. In 1984, the Warren family was found dead in their home on the edge of town. Nearly 30 years have passed since that night. Some called it an accident. Others whispered of something darker. Suspicions stretched from father to mother, even to a neighbor who might have had a reason to see them gone. The official files were thin. Too thin. Over the years, the versions never lined up. One person swore the family had nailed themselves inside, sealing the door shut as though trying to keep something out, or themselves in. Another said the house was boarded before the police had ever even finished inside. A few muttered about radios hissing, and over the years the place had earned its name. The Hollow House. Isolated down an old country road, it became a place where people avoided entirely. Its reputation for eerie and the unknown kept them fearful of what lingered inside. Details twisted and frayed, never matching, never adding up.
Hello?
The surviving relatives of the Warren family hired me to come back, to take a closer look, and finally separate rumor from record, and find what really happened. And if I was going to face the Hollow House after all these years, I was determined to drag whatever truth it held into the light, no matter how long it had been buried. The road was long and empty. Headlights caught nothing but trees, fence posts, and the white mist curling across the blacktop. My radio struggled for a station. Static blend into sermons, then laughter, and then jumbled up voices that tangled together. Bad reception, I told myself. A trick of the air. I shut it off. But the silence wasn't better. It was worse. I gripped the wheel tighter, pushing forward into the night with a single thought, pressing me on to uncover the truth about what happened here, once and for all. The Hollow House waited at the end of the lane. Windows were dark, roof sagging against the sky. It looked abandoned, but it didn't feel abandoned. To the left of the path stood a massive oak tree, its trunk split, hollowed by rot. Branches clawed at the night sky, bare and brittle, like a skeleton refusing to fall. The air around it carried the same stillness that hung over the house itself, death and decay reaching outward, staining the yard just as surely as the walls within it. The closer I drew, the more it felt as though the ruin of the house had spread to the land even all around it. The smell hit first, mildew, rot, something metallic underneath. I stepped carefully into the front room. Wallpaper peeled in long strips, sagging toward the floor. Family photos clung crooked to the walls. Glass cracked, their faces scratched and defaced. I reached up and pulled one of the frames down, sliding it into my folder. On the floor nearby, amid shattered glass, lay a photo of the whole family. And one of the father's faces had been cut clean away, leaving only an outline for what he had been. I slipped that into my file too. I moved slowly on, passing through a parlor and glancing into what might have been a study. I saw a piece of paper on the ground, which looked like something from the crime scene, so I picked it up and threw it in my folder too. Books lay rotten in heaps, spines collapsed, pages curled with mold. The house seemed to resist me. Every step echoed too loudly, daring me to keep going. I made my way down the narrow hall, flashlight sweeping over the stripped walls, a child's toy lay in the corner, its paint flaked away. In the dining room, the table stood on one leg, ready to collapse. The wallpaper there had dark stains trailing downward, like something seeped in long ago. I paused, sweeping my light over toppled chairs, and a curtain rod had fallen across the floor. Long scratches trailed across the plaster, but led nowhere. The air felt heavier here, as though the house itself pressed even in closer. I stepped into the kitchen. That's when it hit. An echo that pierced my ears. As soon as the sound burst out, I jolted toward the counter. The old radio had lit up, its dials glowing faintly. As the sound rose, I froze, flashlight beam catching the dented metal box on the shelf. The sudden sound was sharp and eerie, crawling down my spine. It felt wrong, out of place, and for a moment I just stood there. How could this be? I was spooked, the hiss and the voices filling the room. Where was the sound coming from? There's no power on in this house. I clicked it off, the room falling back into silence. My pulse was still racing, the echo of the static clinging to the air. I moved past the kitchen into another hall, cautious. The house groaned faintly, timber shifting as though it were aware of me passing through it. That was when it came, the first sound from above. A thud. Then another. Uneven shuffling, like someone was dragging their feet across floorboards upstairs. I stood listening. The sound came again, shifting from one side of the ceiling to the other, as if they were pacing. My throat tightened as I stepped toward the stairwell, flashlight beam trembling against the wall. My heart hammering, I began to take each step up the stairs slowly, steadily, making my way toward the noise above. One step, then another. The hallway was lined with faded children's wallpaper, and an open window breathed cold air through shredded curtains. I made my way slowly down the hallway, peering into each room as I passed. Beds long collapsed, furniture broken, nothing but dust and shadows staring back at me. The open window still rattled faintly behind me, and I wondered if whoever had been moving above could have slipped out that way, through the open window. But every room I checked was empty. Whoever or whatever had made those sounds was gone. At the end of the hall, in the master bedroom, dust thick on every surface, lay something out of place. It was an old, unmarked cassette tape, resting directly on the floorboards. I crouched, the fear prickling up my back to my neck, and I picked it up. No label, no dust, as if it was just put there. There was more clues waiting. I could feel it. More than a house was holding on to. But not tonight. No, not alone, in the dark. I'd need to come back when it was daylight, bring stronger light and maybe a camera, and take some precautions if someone was trying to keep me out, or worse, hide something. I wasn't going to risk stumbling into them here in the dark. I had better think this through a little more carefully, so I felt it best that I start heading out. Heading quickly toward the front door, I slipped the tape into my folder, along with the scratched family photos and the torn little evidence bag. Phew, I was glad to get out of there, as quick as I could. Still, I stepped outside. I couldn't shake the weight of it. The hollowness of the place, the rooms echoed with more than emptiness. They pressed on me, eerie, unsettling, as if the house itself was already preying on my thoughts. Feeding on the fear I carried out with me, it felt less like I was leaving it behind and more like I was carrying a part of it with me. As I slid behind the wheel, I caught a glimpse in the rearview mirror of a shape in the upstairs window. Gone as quickly as I saw it, my gut twisted. Whatever it was, someone inside or just a trick of the light, it meant one thing. There was more here. Someone, something still at play, and I'd have to come back tomorrow, better prepared to get to the bottom of what really happened to that Warren family. The radio clicked on as I pulled away. Through the static, a faint, distorted voice. Stay! Hey, also, thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Hollow House. Please tune back in as we work on the recording of our episode 2 as this spooky adventure continues, and to find out what happens next at the Hollow House.